Hi, so somebody gave me a question, and we were talking about gratitude and using gratitude to heal things. And in that, I mentioned the possibility of retaliation being something that might need to be cleared. The need to retaliate against a situation can keep us locked in where the Court of Atonement doesn't work as well as we want for ourselves. So what we want to do is recognize that, when we have a situation where the Court of Atonement isn't working, do we have a need for retaliation? And then we want to place ourselves with everybody in a full Court of Atonement, and then ask to be pardoned for our need for retaliation and ask to resolve that. And there's more to it than that that's going to be available on another class on retaliation, but I can't really go into that in this short thing. But if you do ask to work on it, ask for absolution of guilt for having needed that retaliation. So place yourself in a Court of Atonement for retaliation and for absolution of guilt for that retaliation. So someone asked the question of, when we have an illness or an issue, is it possible that we have a need for retaliation against ourselves? And I said I didn't know. I need to answer that question like in channels. So I stepped away and started this recording, and what I can feel is absolutely yes, we retaliate against ourselves, and we create all kinds of blemishes and fat upon the body and all of these things because we want to retaliate against ourselves for something we see that we did, that we sinned against ourselves. We did something that sinned against our own good. And that when we took a core belief and then stepped in and did it anyway, even though we swore we never would, then we kind of try to punish ourselves and lash out at ourselves, and we'll create acne, we'll create, I'm seeing like the herpes virus, I'm seeing all these things are actual condemnations that we've caused against ourselves. So now the solution to having such an issue where we are condemning ourselves would be to say I, and state our names, place myself into a full Court of Atonement where I have erred against myself in what I choose to think of as an unforgivable way. I have made unforgivable mistakes against my own core beliefs. I promised myself I would never smoke. I promised myself I would never do drugs. I promised myself I would never whatever. And never have sex out of wedlock. Promised myself, as a child. Wherever this is coming from, I place myself in a full Court of Atonement with my need to retaliate against myself for creating errors against my own beliefs, religions, thoughts, ideas in an unforgivable way. And any place that I felt I needed to punish myself, I place that in a Court of Atonement now. And I ask to bring in the spirit of forgiveness. I ask to bring in the spirit of understanding and accepting that I needed to know some things about it so that I could forgive other people who had made these same mistakes and I had condemned them. Now I have a greater understanding of why people would have extramarital affairs or sleep with a married man or things that I had condemned in my life. I've made those mistakes so that I could understand and forgive them on this plane while I'm alive. And so now I bring in the spirit of forgiveness, the spirit of excuses, and the spirit of pardoning each other. I ask to be pardoned for the mistakes I've made. I ask to pardon myself for the mistakes I've made. So I place myself in this court of atonement with the spirit of retaliation and my need to retaliate against myself. I ask to bring in the absolution, which is the removal of guilt from myself in this situation. And now I ask to bring in this feeling of forgiveness and love and understanding into my body and into the cells that I have condemned and caused. So I not only had this sin that I did that caused this rash that I have, I now place myself in a full court of atonement with the harm I caused myself, and ask to, I stopped condemning the rash I've created and recognized I was trying to bring this into the light, and that's why it manifested. So I place that in a court of atonement. I bring in the removal of guilt with absolution, and I pardon myself, and I forgive that rash for being there, and I send love to that rash for trying to wake me up to there's something I needed to see. I hope this helps you out. Have a great day. Now I